YouTube. We are back for one of the final uploads in relation to the Flash Comic 78. Before we begin, I want to ask everyone if you can head on over to the Comic Book Community Awards website, and this is the logo for the Comic Book Community Awards, and put in a vote for Jerry the Jitterbug Comic Collector, where my channel was lucky enough to be nominated for the best cleaning, pressing, and or restoration videos, and I'm very honored, as I indicated in my last upload. So the link will be below, and go over and support the channel, and let's give it a vote. Okay, so what are we going to do here? So we have the book. Last upload, I had a little behind the scenes, what I do that I really don't show often with pressing and steaming of the book outside of the lens of the camera. So what I want to do now is I want to install the staples. Now, the issue with this book is that it did not have staples when I started working on it. They were very rusted and they were not in good shape. So we have to try to use donor staples. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, again, Superman, as with the Action Comics project that I did. Even though this book is not a Golden Age book, I want to use the staples in this book because it is a square-bound book. And the square-bound book, or it's a thick book, I wouldn't say a square-bound, it's a giant book. And the reason why I want to use the staples from this book, even though they're not period correct, is because they are extra long. They are longer than your traditional staples, and as a result of it being longer, I will have better connection dealing with the leaf-casted Golden Age book that tends to be a little thicker because we're adding pulp to each page. So I believe that these staples will work better to put the book together. So there may be some of you a little upset using these staples. Why am I taking away staples from a sort of vintage book from the 70s? Well, I need the staples, and we'll find replacement staples for this in the future. Or maybe I'll just include this book as one of the Bronze Age books that I am going to give away for my channel's 3,000 subscriber giveaway. So you'll have a piece of conservation getting this book as part of the prize. So I have the two staples. Now, what we want to do is we want to inspect them. And there is a slight rust on them. Being that this is a conserved book, I'm not concerned about cleaning the staples by using chemicals or anything like that, because it's a conserved book and you can clean staples. So what I like to do is I just like to take 000, a piece of steel wool, just like that. We break it off. And again, this is not a blue label cleaning of the staples. This is a conserved. I can use chemicals, but I'm just going to gently go over the staple with the steel wool, and we're going to make sure that we remove the surface rust. I don't want to be too aggressive with the steel wool because we really do not want to shine the staples. All that I want to do is I just want to remove the surface rust. So that's one, easy peasy. Let's go over the second one, and we're just going to rub it gently to remove any surface rust that is on the staple. And again, this would not go well with a blue label because CGC would pick it up and they would notice that the staples were cleaned, because if you were a little aggressive with it, you may make them a little too shiny, which we don't want to do. And then sometimes I just rub it with my fingers after I'm done. And I'm Italian, so I have greasy hands, only kidding. And just the oil from the fingers gives it a nice coat and it dulls it down a little bit. So right there, we have the staples ready. Now, the other issue is, since I did leaf cast the entirety of the book, the issue is, where should the staple holes go? So I have another Golden Age book, an All American Comics. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use this book as a gauge in relation to where the staples should go. Excuse me, I may have someone at my front door. If you hear my hounds barking, stay tuned, I'll be right back. Okay guys, we're back. Sorry for the disruption, but there was someone at my front door. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna figure out where we're gonna put the staples. So I have this All American Comics, which is similar to the size of the Flash Comics. So what I want to do, instead of taking this American Comics out because it is quite brittle, I'm going to measure the distance of the staples, or at least the top of the staples, from the top of the book. So right here, I have 2.5 inches. Let's see if it's the same. It's a little off. It's a little more than 2.5 inches on the bottom. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna do 2.5 inches from the top and from the bottom. So I have my staple. I want to sharpen it. As you know, I like to work with sharp staples, or sharp pencils, I'm sorry, in case I have to jam it in someone's eye when I'm in a dark alley. And then what we want to do is I want to make a mark of 2.5 inches on the spine. So I'll just make a mark with my pencil, 2.5 inches. And then we're going to do the same on the bottom. I'll make a mark just like that. That's where we're going to start doing our holes. I just want to check the All American. I'm going to line it up and I'm going to see, how does it look? Does it look like we're lined up pretty good? And it does. So we're going to do the same staple holes from the All American Comics, since it was a similar publication, similar time, things of that nature. I'm going to put the staples to the side off camera, and I'm putting them on a sticky pad. It doesn't matter to me upside or downside because they're not the original staples. So we'll put that to the side. Then what I want to do is let's take the actual cover off. I'm going to take the cover off, and I'm going to take a few of the wraps off as well. Just like that. And I'm going to put the wraps to the side. So I have the cover, and I have a few of the interior wraps. Next, what I want to do is, I don't know if everyone recalls, this contraption is something that I use to work on the spines of the book, because I'll just take it and I'll lay the book down like that so we have a nice view of the spine, just like that. And we'll push it down and we'll line everything up nicely. So now I'll have pressure to do what I want. Then what I'm going to do is I'll take a needle, which I have two thicknesses. I have a thin needle and a little thicker needle. Let's start with the thinner needle. And I want to make sure that the pages are lined up inside. And then I'm going to poke a hole into the leaf casted right there, the leaf casted spine. And I'm going to poke a hole on the bottom just like that. So we have our two holes, okay? Next, what I want to do is I want to figure out which staple is going to go where. And by doing that, I'm going to use tape, because now it's going to be important, because I'm going to line up the holes of the staple. And I want to put off camera, I'm putting a T, which means top, so I can correspond each staple with the holes that I'm making. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is, let's use this first staple right here, okay? I'm gonna make sure I can bend it a little straighter with my fingers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the top of the staple and I'm gonna put it in the hole that I just made, okay? Just like this. And then what I wanna do is I wanna make a marking with the sharp pencil that I use as a weapon in a dark alley. And I'm gonna make a little mark, just like that. So now we know this is the top staple, and I will put it on the paper like this for safekeeping. Next, what we'll do is we'll take the second staple, just like this, and I'll straighten out the staple a little bit, and I'm gonna put the bottom piece in, and then I'm gonna make a little marking with the pencil, just like that, okay? Just like that, easy peasy. So I'm gonna then put it on the paper, and we'll put the top on the paper like that. So now we know the staples where they are, and hopefully we'll be in good shape. So what I want to do now is I want to put back the remainder of the book. So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to get it to the center fold just to see where it is. And then we're going to place it back inside the cover and the pages that I have inside the cover, just like this. And what I want to do off camera is I want to get it nice and flat, or as flat as possible. Now, my main concern is that these staples are not going to be long enough, but we'll see what happens, because right before your eyes, it may be a situation where they are not long enough. But we will do our best, and if I have to, I may have to figure out getting longer staples. And this was one of the issues that I had with Mike Night Tiger's book, because it had extensive leaf casting, and unfortunately I couldn't find long enough staples. So right now I just hopefully put the hole through. I feel the wood. Let's do the same for this. I feel the wood. So hopefully I'll be able to now put the staples through, or the first staple, and I will get it through nicely, and hopefully I'll be able to push it through where it goes all the way through, and the other side comes out where the wood is and the centerfold. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same here. I'm going to punch through a hole. And if we're lucky, we'll get through nice and smooth every wrap, and I'll get to the wood or the dowel, and I'll get to the wood and the dowel on the bottom half. Now, this apparatus that I'm using, this is something that is very easily made at home. If anyone wants to work on books in relation to staples and the spine, it just makes it a lot easier to work and to push the staple through all the way through. And let's hope this goes through to the wood, meaning the dowel. So now what I want to do is I want to lift it up gently, and we're going to open it to the spine, and hopefully I was able to push it through all the way, and it worked the way I wanted it to. So let's get this, use my bone, let me push it tight, and hopefully there is a staple on the other side. So what happens sometimes when I do this, the staple doesn't make its way through, and just like this, it didn't make its way through. And the issue, I think, may be that it may have snuck through another page. And what does that mean? We'll start peeling away the pages, and what we will see is that when I pushed it through, it possibly did not make it through in the center, and the needle went and it wound up going into another page, just like this. So that is an issue that we're gonna have to correct right now. And I bet you, there you go, there's the issue. And as you can see, here is the staple. It did not go directly through the center of the book. So what I'm gonna do, guys, I have to get close, and I'm gonna rectify this right now. Actually, I'm gonna do it right in front of you, just like that. So right there, I was able to just adjust the staple, just like that. And I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it's very nice, and the staple is coming up through on page 6. So we're gonna have to adjust this. And sometimes by doing this, really all you do is just lay the book in like this, or the page, and I'm able to push the staple in and it comes through, but that is not working right now. So how are we gonna fix this? We're gonna fix this very easily. And what it's going to entail is me taking the pages out just like this, because we have the holes already made. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move the cover to get that safely out of the way. We're gonna put back our mechanism, and then I'm gonna put the centerfold pages back into the book, and we're gonna push it back down on our dowel. And by doing this, I'm going to try to make it where we're able to push down hard, and I'm gonna be able to push through with the needle again and make it hopefully where the holes go straight through. Just like this. And sometimes it takes more than one time to do it, and hopefully this will work. So I probably lost a lot of people already with this process, because it's not the most sexy or not the most exciting process, but it is an important process. So let's see if I can push this through. So right there is one hole. So we got the holes. let's go around, let's put it back, and in fact, we're gonna use a bunch of different needles right now. Here is a second one we're gonna push through just to make sure I get it through. And that's a little too thick, so I don't like that. So we're gonna take that out, we're gonna use this, get it through, nice. We're gonna get it through again, nice. We're gonna get it through again, nice. And we're gonna see if we can gently plop the cover down with the staples that are in, and hopefully we can get the staples where they should lay. So let's line it up and let's see if I can get that in there. We just push that one in, we just push this one in, and hopefully they went through to the centerfold. And I'm gonna shut the camera off 1 second, guys, because I have to get a little close, and then I'll show you how it turned out. Okay, guys, wait, let me just check and make sure this is filming. It is. We're gonna delete this section. Okay, guys, we're back. I was able to successfully push the bottom staple through, and it was a little difficult because this staple, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, was a little shorter. So we're gonna have to clean that up a little bit because some of the casting got manipulated, which is fine because it happens. So what I wanna do is I wanna use my college tweezers, and I just wanna pull away this pulp just like this to clean it up a little bit. And if I really wanted to, I can put some steam on it to clean it up better, but I'm looking for my tool that is a stronger tweezers. We'll use my pointed tweezers. There we go. So if I pull this away, and I'm gonna clean this up later just with a little water, okay? So what I wanna do is I wanna push this down. And I'm gonna use various tools to get it a little stronger, a little more tight to staple. Just like that. And then we're gonna do the same for the top portion of the staple. There we go. And I'll work that a little bit better later. I just want to get now the top staple through, and it's very important to do this right. So I'm gonna try to make it as tight as possible with the spine, and I'm gonna try to get it through, and I'm pulling it out a little bit, and then I'm gonna push it through, and I can feel it not going through the center. I feel it actually penetrating in another location, and sometimes, and it's right there, I see it. So if I flip the page over, I'm gonna put it up, the staple, just like this. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. I don't want to manipulate the page too much, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it out a little bit, just like that. Then we're gonna open up to the centerfold, and you see how strong this book turned out, that I can actually do something like this. I can manipulate it because the leaf casting is definitely strong. So I'm having a difficult time getting this top one in. So what am I gonna do? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run a needle through the top of the spine. And again, you see how strong this is. It really is a wonderful strength the leaf casting gives to the book. That was once a book that was falling apart to the touch. So I felt the needle go through. So hopefully I'll be able just to push this through like the needle, and I was able to do it. So right there is the staple coming through, and hopefully the camera's picking it up. So as with the bottom one, I want to clean up a little of the pulp, because the pulp was pushed through and it bent up a little bit. But let's just get one of the prongs down so we can hold the book in place, and then we'll clean that up later. Let's push the bottom down using my tool, just like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to a different tool, and let's try, sometimes I like to try I use the eraser. And when I use the eraser, I'll make a pointed section of the eraser like this, so I can use that to push down the prongs of the staples, and I don't damage the paper. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you just have to use different tools to get the staple down. Right there, we use the back of my bone. And let's push it and make it nice and tight. We can even actually use a piece of wood and push it down. Let's use a piece of wood here to push it down. And we can always work a little bit better to do better using your fingers, because I'm getting a little aggressive now and I don't like it. So we're going to clean that up. So let's close the book, and right now we have the book where it is stapled and it is put together using the Superman big giant sized book, and I think it's pretty nice with the staples. We have the back, everything lines up pretty decently. So we're not done yet, because what I'm going to do is I am going to actually press this one more time. I'm going to clean it up, and sometimes I like to dry clean it as well when I'm done leaf casting it. Just gentle like this. You see, you can always go on colors with the eraser, just as long as you're not too aggressive, and you slowly can go over. And there is some color that's coming up, but we're gonna try to make the whites a little bit better and blend it a little bit better. So this book is together and the staples are in. It's a book now that could be thumbed through, and we're gonna look at it closer at a later time, but I'm going to quickly go through the pages now so you can see the extent of the leaf casting. And there'll always be a better side of leaf casting. Like right here, you can see the new and the old. And I sort of like it. People ask me questions. Well, Jerry, could you leaf cast it better in color to try to pass for it being as original? No. I'm sure if I spent months on developing the colors, yeah. Look at this advertisement here. Imagine having all these books. I have that book. That's one of the books that I have in my collection. I don't have any of the others. So we're going through, and you see how this book turned out from a book that was once tattered to a book now that you can thumb through and read, and if you wanted to, you can enjoy. Here's the centerfold. We're gonna clean up a little bit the pulp by the staples. That's something that we're gonna work on. And in fact, maybe what I'll do is simply, you just take a little water, like I said, and if you take a little water, and all you do is just take the water just like that. I have a little water I'm using now. And what will happen is the leaf casting will lay down and it will look better. But I don't want to get the staple wet, but I just want to take a little water just like this. See that? Just like this, just by where the staples are. And by doing that, I'll be able to make that piece a little bit better, and it will lay down better. So let's continue going through the book. And next upload, what we'll do is I'll make some predictions and we'll send it off to CGC. Look at that hawk, man. Isn't that cool? And then what we'll do is we will see if we are close. This is going to be a tough one to predict because there is a lot of leaf casting, but I think we did a decent job with it. So that's it for now, guys, for this upload. Appreciate your support, and I'll see you next week. Take care.